Gary Johnson here, and you are about to watch a very special interview with smooth jazz saxophonist André Ward. Thanks to Angelo Ellerby and Double Exposure Media, I was able to connect with André, and we had a great time talking about a lot of stuff with regard to music. So if you haven't heard of André Ward, take a listen. We have André Ward with us. You see a black man with a saxophone behind me. He's going to talk about his stuff. And I tell you, he's smooth jazz. I've been listening to you on Spotify and all the other places. Welcome to the show, André.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, Gary. Thank you for taking the time and inviting me. I'm excited to be here and talk about the new project.
Tell us about the new project. Let's just jump right into it.
So the new project is Africa Rising. We have a number of tracks on there that I strongly feel, unfortunately during COVID, which I've had a chance to sit back and think about life and do some writing, that we came up with some of the best work, again, unfortunately during COVID, but something that I think I like to say can relate to anyone from 18 to 80.
All right, that's a pretty good gap.
Yes.
All right, you know what? Speaking of 18 to 80, at what age, if you can remember, did you start realizing or knowing you had a love for music and maybe jazz?
Yeah, and Gary, it is so important for there to be opportunities for young students to have the opportunity of the arts. May not just be music, it could be visual arts. But for me, I was very fortunate growing up in Chicago. And we had a very thriving arts program, not only in the school systems, the public school systems, but after school programs, which we all know can, give us a lot of things to do other than just hanging out.
Yep.
And so I would say, around 8, 9, 10 years of age, there were opportunities to get involved in these after school programs. And I started, of course, just kind of going through, I started with snare drum and then I went to a trumpet, but it was the alto sax that once I started to play it, just kind of felt like the right fit. And, I just really started to do a deeper dive, and it just became just kind of that match. And it kind of took off from there.
So who are some of the sax players who have had the most influence on you?
So this is
or maybe even musicians,
Right. Well, this is an interesting question because I think my opinion, as musicians, we all learn from each other. And I love all styles of music. Okay, I think as a musician, you want to kind of educate yourself. I love the Bach, I love Beethoven. I can kind of go in a different directions. But it was, Grover, of course, one of my all-time favorites to listen to. But it was the Cannonball, Charlie Parker, Coltrane, Sonny Stitt. It was that group of saxophonists that kind of opened my ear to like, oh wow, I didn't know the horn can sound like that. But when I listen today and I continue to learn, there's so many different sax players that I listen to for different aspects because what they bring, because we're all individuals. Music is a universal language. And so, listening to what one is saying, speaking through their instrument, um, I always learn something from many sax players. But to just kind of continue with your question, I love listening to like Sarah Vaughan vocalists. I love listening to vocalists because the singing aspect of wanting to play the horn and sing, you know. So I love listening to vocalists, pianists, definitely jazz piano players, the dexterity that they have with,
Yeah.
with playing, I think is a different approach. So I'm always seeking how I can get better as a musician, or how can I continue to learn that I can then voice what it is that I want to say inside. So I just listen to a lot of musicians, Gary. I gotta say, and saxophones, I still today listen to a lot of the traditional jazz, the greats, It's still today I scratch my head. How did he play that? it's amazing on the things that, Charlie Parker and all those guys played back then that we're still standing on today, but we're also still trying to, you know, um, trying to dissect what it is they were playing. Yeah, it's incredible.
Okay, I'm gonna use a sports metaphor and then
Mhm.
jump back into music. Years ago, Allen Iverson, NBA great, in the locker room or outside the locker room at a press conference, and they talked to him about practice. He said, "Practice? Are we talking to me about practice?" It became viral.
Yes,
I
it
want to
did.
talk to you about practice. I've talked and interviewed other musicians. They say they practice.
Yeah.
I talked to a singer who's a piano player also, V Jordan.
Mhm.
She said she practiced like 8 hours.
Yeah.
8 hours. I mean, so what kind of practice, and I'm talking about practice, do
Right.
you do?
Practice. You're talking
Yeah,
about practice.
So
Yeah.
what kind of talk about your commitment?
Yeah, that Iverson clip was a very viral clip because he was very passionate about his response
Yes, he
when he said
was.
that. And so practice. Now, I will say, no, I don't have the 8 to 10 hours of hours that I used to have when I was attending Berklee College of Music, and by the way, Tennessee State University, who just won a Grammy.
I
Their
saw
Richard
that.
Cracker Band. Um, I don't have that kind of time. However, the importance of practicing every day with a routine. I do have some students that I work with, and I tell them every day, Gary, this is a very, very, boring exercise, but you got to do your long tones. And I know they look at me like, but you got to do those long tones, and you have to practice your skills. And so this is something that I thrive on trying to do every day is long tones and my skills. Now, do I have the 10 hours a day like I maybe had when I was back at Berklee? Absolutely not. However, is it a daily routine? Yes. Is it important? Yes. And if there was any advice I can give to any musician, absolutely. You got to continue to do those techniques or exercise or warm ups. That's so important to your sound because we're trying to create a different sound. As you know, there's tons of great sax players, there's tons of great pianists, tons of great musicians. What makes you sound different is you putting in that time to develop your sound, building those muscles in the armature to make sure that you're having your creative sound. And so it's extremely important. And I try to make sure that I do my long tones and my scales every day, just not 8 hours a day.
Well, how would you describe your sound?
um, I would say traditional gospel, because here's all my elements that I enjoy. I think gospel is a foundation for me. And
Okay.
again, gospel has been the foundation. So, that soulfulness, and you're teaching and touching with that gift that we've all been touched with. And then I have the traditional that I love the bebop and the Coltrane, but then I love the Grover, you know. I love the Gerald Albrights, I love the Kirk Whalum who just, sings. So my approach is, or my sound, I think, is a combination of the gospel foundation with the bebop flair. But I also love the hip hop. I try to infuse all the different musical styles. And Gary, I gotta say, I was watching a documentary about Miles Davis.
Okay.
And one thing that I really resonated with is that, Miles said you have to change with the times. When he got in, it was the bebop area. And
Right.
if you followed Miles, you notice, at the end, he was definitely making that transition.
He was playing with Marcus Miller.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I think Marcus
produced him.
one of
Yeah.
many
Several
projects. Yeah,
Yep.
I can't call them off right name by name, but yes.
Yeah,
And
they
so-
collaborated on several albums.
Absolutely. And so that resonated with me to where, because music, again, is a universal language. And how can I communicate with you with current communication if I'm stuck back?
Right.
So there's this part of me that says you have to make sure that you're fusing all of that. But that really came from that documentary that I watched with Miles, and it just kind of resonated with me, and it stuck with me as being creative. How do I continue to be creative and reach some of those that are, 18 to 25 who may not know who John Coltrane is? How can I introduce them to some of this? Because a lot of the music they're listening to is sampled music.
That's right.
Right. that we've already knew already.
Hey, look, they come up to you, listen to this new thing. I'm like, get out of here.
Right.
That's cool in the game, okay?
That's right. Right. It's not new, but it's new to them.
Right.
But yes, and that's the cycle. That's not only the cycle of life, but the cycle of music. It just kind of continues to go in that cycle.
So if you could jam, because based on the answers to your question, listening very carefully, if you could have a jam session with any artist, living or dead, who would be on that stage with you?
Wow, what it would be a very large stage because there would be so many. But so I'm just going to kind of go way back. I think Duke Ellington.
Whoa, okay.
Just the arrangement, the big band that just sound. Quincy Jones. And again, these, as I think about your question, I just think about producers, songwriters, who can bring that other element of a jam
Right.
to the stage. But, you have your Marcus Miller on bass, you can have, I would love Marcus Miller on bass. There's a couple people, you got Herbie on keyboards. I mean, as far as, George Benson on guitar. I mean, these are this is like a band that I'm like, probably would be a little afraid to go on stage and like, okay, I'm really playing with these guys. But that's a great question. But just so many of the greats that I would love to have that jam session, but the stage would have to be extremely huge and large because we want everyone to have that voice.
Yeah, because I was thinking about Ramsey Lewis, Sarah Vaughan, Nancy Wilson. I mean, you went deep.
and here's one that I would add, and I have to be totally honest, one of my favorite groups of all time. I could be a little biased because I'm from Chicago, but Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Oh, best band ever.
I stand and lean on their ideas and philosophy musically
Yeah.
to this day. It's
Maurice White.
yes, yes, yes. Just
Definitely.
incredible. It touches you from so many different areas, emotionally, spiritually. Um, and that's to me is where music should. And so Earth, Wind and Fire has always been my all-time favorite band, group of musicians. And I have all their collections. I still listen
You
to
know what? It's like a barroom argument because you can make the case they can play rock, they can play gospel, they can play
them.
jazz, they
Mhm.
can play funk with Verdine on that bass. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, yeah,
The
that's
original
that's a good group.
Threeney's horns, and they always had a great horn section. Uh, but just the musical element was at such a high level, and it gave us, something. They spoke to us. The language was there, and hit after hit after hit. Come on, every
Man,
summer.
don't have me screaming trying to do my Philip Bailey reasons back up in here.
Absolutely wonderful.
Oh man.
But that's the foundation that um, I strive for, and even with the Africa Rising project,
Yeah, let's talk about that.
I kept, again, every project that I've approached, I've absolutely had elements of Earth, Wind, and Fire. This is how much I respect and just know that their music and their approach was so important. But with the Africa Rising project, uh, I definitely wanted to make sure that there was elements spiritually, and the music was at a level that could be considered high level, and the language. You can read someone. Music should touch you, whether it makes you cry, sad, love, happy. It should take you on a roller coaster ride. And that was the approach with Africa Rising.
Well, there have been studies, and I'm sure you know this. You went to Berklee. There have been studies of how music soothes the soul in so many ways. In senior citizens' homes,
Yeah.
with dementia patients, with animals. I mean, it's proven. It does touch people. The arts.
Yeah, music is therapy. Even for us that makes the music.
There you go. There you
Music
go.
is therapy, and and that's why I'm always a champion for the arts being so important in the school systems. You have an opportunity for students who may be struggling in ELA or math, but then here's that other avenue of the arts that can really bridge that gap and really give them, definitely students that's struggling, give them that other type of sense of, yes, belonging, being successful. And I always say, music is math, music is language arts, because, with chorus, you're singing, language arts.
Mhm.
With music, you're counting, it's math. So there's absolutely a way to connect, to connect all those to the academic supports.
All right, let me take us out the music realm for a second or two
Just a
and
second.
talk about be kind of a downer,
Oh,
but it's equally important. Man, let's talk about the business aspect of music, the music industry, and how it's changed, and how you got to know your business, or at least surround yourself with people you trust.
yeah. And this absolutely within the music business, but I think with whichever business you choose to go into, entrepreneurship, if you want to be in business for yourself, but the music industry um, has changed, and I think it's extremely important to have those that you trust around you. uh, doesn't matter what business you're in, but yes, and what I mean by that, Gary, is not just yes people. And again, for me, I'm just speaking, my
Yeah,
opinion. I need someone that's going to say, hey, the train is going right, you're going left, get back on track.
yeah,
And not just let me get off track. I think that's important to have those around you that not only have your best interest, but seeing the bigger picture of music, how it touches everyone. But the music industry has always been, hey, we can cut from a different cloth. It's always been that way, but it has changed to where, yes, now you have to change with it. I mean, there's the different social media platforms. There's different ways that music is now distributed. There used to be what ASCAP, BMI was
Yep.
really the only two kind of, in town, the games in town. Well, that has changed now. You got the different streaming, and and then even the percentage
Yep.
is definitely different than that. So I do think it's important, and I would tell any of the younger musicians to really start honing in on that aspect of the business now, because it's not going anywhere. It's only going to continue to grow from there. But yes, do surround yourself with people you trust, and do surround yourself with people that's going to kind of pull you back when you're out front too much. As far as the thinking aspect, because as a musician, sometimes we just so focused on the music. You want to have those around you to trust on some of the business aspect. But Gary, I will be totally honest with you. Now, as a musician, you got to wear multiple hats. You need to, musician, you need to be maybe the promoter. You need to, and again, you can't do it all, but you need to kind of be at the table and kind of know what's going on.
Right.
Where are the dollars and cents going? Are we making good investments in this? What's the promotion looking like? It's really important, and it's changing fast. So it is something that I would definitely say everyone should pay attention to if they're getting, or if you're in the music business. Change with the times.
Okay. We got a few minutes left. I want to talk to you about songs.
Yeah, but
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I would think that the radio broadcasting industry is somewhat shifting, just like the music industry as well, right?
I think so, yeah. In terms of playlists, and they're looking at, I mean, you got so many streaming services now.
Right.
And I'm not sure how you all, not you all, but how you're, I mean, I guess you're measured in streams and downloads.
Right. Yeah.
That seems to be a little murky.
Yes, for all of us.
Yeah, look, if you're an accountant, I guess that's to your advantage, but it just seems to be a little murky if I'm a musician. Kind of the shell and P game, switching stuff around.
Yeah.
You see all these streams and you go, all right, here's your check. And you're like, what?
You're like, what? Wait a minute, all these streams, yes. That's why you need to have someone that you can trust. That was a great question, and that everyone needs to make sure they have in their toolbox.
Yes, I wanted to make sure I get the business side. But there's a song, I was listening to a song that's in my head that was on one of your albums. See, I'm old, I said albums.
You see,
and it was, yes, it was a great cover of a Simply Red song.
Oh, Holding Back the Years.
Yes, that thing's in my head, man. I was listening to that at 1 o'clock today and it's still in my head.
Yeah. And if I remember, that would have been off of the Steppin' Up CD.
Yes. Yeah.
And our approach with the Steppin' Up CD was to really kind of lean a little bit more towards R&B, because at that time we wanted a little bit more mainstream R&B radio.
Okay.
I don't think we was deeply into streaming at that.
No, not then. I don't think so.
But what a wonderful tune. And it just goes back in one of those tunes that when you hear it, you think of the original.
Right.
And that's the scary thing about doing remakes. You gotta at least make sure that you're giving all the glory to the original. There are some that I stay away from, but you want to try to then put your sound and your signature to it as well. And it's funny because that approach that I did with Holding Back the Years is the same approach that I did with Kiss of Life with the Sade on the new
Okay.
project, Africa Rising. I mean, I think there's like, 2 to 3 decades when Sade did that song. And it's a great song. And it's like, well, can I do justice to it? It wasn't about trying to do justice to it. It was about just doing another version that I can have my voice on it. And but I did the same approach with a song that was already great and just wanted to kind of put my version on it.
Well, I downloaded it because I'm like, all right, it's in my head. I may as well just put it on my phone.
Thank you.
So I did my part, man, and I'm gonna get some more.
Well, I hopefully I did my part because you like it enough to where you download it.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I pulled the trigger, man. I got it. I got it on the phone, man. And there are a couple others I'm gonna do. Hey, any final words or thoughts that you want to share?
A couple of things. First, as we all turn the corner from the pandemic, and hopefully it's definitely behind us, I think the pandemic showed us the importance of love, giving, caring, sharing, because we all was affected in one way or another with all of this. So I say that with also like yourself, Gary, musicians, we need you. We need promoters. We need clubs. We need venues. There's this cycle that we all need to support each other because it really takes all of us to keep that ecosystem going. And so I would just, hope that everyone, would continue to show more love, compassion, giving and caring. I know that's where my heart has grown more. And that's one thing that I wish for everyone. Second is, I'm really looking forward to getting out, promoting the new project, going out on tour right now. We're definitely happy to be here promoting it on your show. Going to be doing some other interviews, but looking forward to get everyone out to some of the shows and continue to follow me on social media. And I look forward to, just kind of coming to a city near you.
Oh no, we're going to do our part because this is going to be a print feature as well as an interview, and I like to make it easy so people can read this, click on a mouse, and they can be downloading your stuff and get those songs in their head just like mine.
Easy is good, Gary. I like that. I like easy.
Make it easy. Make it easy. André Ward, it's been a pleasure. Been a pleasure having you on the show, and we're going to have you back. That's for sure.
Well, it's been a pleasure. Again, I want to thank you for the time, and please, I'm a phone call away. So whenever you feel it's the right time to bring me back.
Oh, we can get you back.
I love
All right.
Back. All right.
Hang on. Take a look. Thank you.
Thank you, brother.